24 hours, Georgians will be under a shelter-in-place order.
McDonald, though, said he did not know the man was handcuffed and was trying to use his foot to pin him to the ground so he could be handcuffed.
If your friends, neighbors, or local organizations are not complying, report them to us.
Howdy, y'all. Welcome to the Free Georgia podcast. My name is Jake Green. Thank y'all so much for joining me today. Today, we are promoting The Great Create, which is a self-reliance DIY festival that takes place every year in the state of Georgia. This year, it's happening at George Washington Carver Park in Ackworth, Georgia, just north of Atlanta. It is this coming Saturday, November 8th, I believe. Yeah, 8th. November 8th from 11 a.m. till about 11 p.m. There are workshops, there are booths, there are things you can purchase, there are things to learn, there are people you can go to talks and learn stuff about different subjects like mushroom cultivation and what else? Like how to set up a home system on a Raspberry Pi, all sorts of stuff, including the two folks that are going to be on the show tonight, Julie Stevens and Oscar Sierra of MOJO Health. Yeah, I've interviewed Oscar previously, but Julie joins the show tonight along with my co-host Kat. So go check out the website, thegreatcreate.org. Get your tickets now. Show up on Saturday. It's going to be a really fun time. A lot of great folks will be there, and you get to mingle with other folks who are trying to improve their lives and better themselves. So without further ado, let's go talk to Oscar and Julie. All right. Oscar Sierra and Julie Stevens, welcome to the Free Georgia podcast. How are y'all doing tonight?
I'm great. I'm still at work. This is my office, and I'm still working on patient stuff for Mederi Center, which is out west, closer to your time. I guess not right this second, but
yeah. And for those who don't know, it's 8 p.m., right? 7? I don't even know what time it is.
Is it a weekday? It's 8:13 p.m. Yes.
Okay. My watch says 7:13, so I'm off. I guess we just had daylight savings or whatever. So, whoops. Julie, thanks for joining us. How are you doing tonight?
Wonderful. Thank you so much for having us.
Julie, did you just get done doing another podcast, or what were you doing a second ago?
An Instagram live. Yeah, it was pretty emotional because I was telling the story of looking down the barrel of death, figuring out the chemotherapy was not working, and what that took to really come to terms with that and get to the other side and to become a superhero. So I just had a very emotional outbreak or discussion. So excuse the puffy eyes.
Well, that is A-okay. That actually kind of leads us nicely into first question we had for you, which is how did you two meet and how did that evolve into starting MOJO Health?
Oh, Oscar, can I tell the story?
I mean, no one else on the planet tells it better than Julie K. Stevens, of course.
So I was diagnosed with what ended up being stage 4 aggressive, inoperable, and chemo-resistant colon cancer. I grew up, and this was 3 years ago, and in a world where doctors were God and you trusted the white lab coat, and I certainly never thought about going anything but straight conventional at the time. And so I went through my emergency surgery, and the oncologist came in and said, "We'll do 6 months of chemo, and then we'll measure for efficacy." And with a PET scan, I was like, no, what will we measure right after the first chemo and after the second chemo? Like, I want to know. And she condescendingly said, "Oh, honey, that's not how we do it." And so I went to seek knowledge of how I could measure treatment efficacy. And in walks Oscar Sierra, because I met this fella thinking I was kind of a jerk. He's an herbalist. And so you would think, why would you go to an herbalist to ask about treatment efficacy? And so I said in that very first appointment, when he said, "Why are you here?" I said, "I want to know how I can measure if this treatment's going to work." And he's like, "Cool. CA19-9 or CEA. Do you want me to tell you the test you can use so that we can see if it'll ever work for you? Like, do you want to predict before you start?" I was like, wait a minute, that kind of data? So that first meeting walked me through how, and I'm a data gangster. Actually, he named me that. I thought I was a data gal, but now I'm a data gangster. But he walked me through how we could measure the type of cancer so that we would know what treatments would work, how we could measure the treatment effectiveness, how we could rebuild my natural health defense systems, and how we could help me outsmart side effects. So he that day gave me the knowledge that these things were possible and helped me understand how the decisions I was making every day were creating a body that was hospitable to disease, but how I could shift that by focusing on vitamins and supplements and diet and lifestyle and my environment and shift my future. So Oscar Sierra, I met him by trying to seek and find out how I could measure chemotherapy effectiveness. I am alive today because of this man. So I would say that he has brought years to my life.
Wow.
I would say that meeting Julie has brought life to my years because she introduced me to Billy Strings and all kinds of fun musical stuff and awesome friends and Nugs watching live music when we can't make it to the show over at her house with her super awesome dog, Roscoe, who I wish was right there behind her.
He's in front of me, so it's okay. But yeah, he went from being the reason I'm alive to quickly becoming my best friend. And when I came to him when I was declared no evidence of disease, and guys, it took me 9 months. I had stage 4 aggressive, inoperable, and chemo-resistant colon cancer. And it took me 9 months from the day I was diagnosed to be no evidence of disease. And it was a clean sweep, not just cancer, but basically every diagnosis I've ever had. I've lost over 100 pounds. Like, I've done it. I did the work. I have the results, all because of this man. And on that day, I came to him and I said, I need to take what you taught me and teach the world, because I would have died without your knowledge. And the reality is everybody deserves to know the data they can ask for to understand how they can heal differently. So we got to work literally February of 2023 saying, we got to do this and we got to make sure it's not just one-on-one, because I would have had no idea this was possible if it wasn't a fluke. So we got to work right away starting MOJO.
Wow. That's amazing.
So you kind of went over it a little bit, but could you go into more depth on how MOJO Health's approach to wellness differs from other health organizations?
Absolutely. Okay, so I would say really we empower people to understand their data and to become the CEO of their healing journey. And we do that by teaching people the data that can predict the health of their natural health defense systems. We help them understand their oxidative stress and their inflammatory markers. So what's below the waterline? Because one of the big ahas I had was that in medical school, doctors are taught how to diagnose, but not how to predict. So I want doctors to know how to predict disease 2 to 10 years before it happens, not after it's already happened. So we are working to build the data set to shift the expectation to be from what do I have to what could my environment create. And once we can get that mindset shift, I believe we can prevent up to 50% of all cancer diagnoses, because 92% of all cancer diagnoses are because of what we eat, drink, think, do, and breathe. So the first thing MOJO Health does is we teach people the blood markers and data you can use to build a body that is inhospitable to disease. Big statements. I can back those up. Number 2, when I studied how they healed across the globe, the only thing that's taught in medical school is pharmaceuticals. But we want people to understand there are 6 healing toolboxes: pharmaceuticals, vitamins and supplements, diet, lifestyle, environment, and a healing team of all your traditional healers like herbalists and chiropractic and acupuncturists. The idea here is people need to understand how to identify and bring together a team of experts across all 6 of those healing toolboxes to get optimal healing outcomes. And the third thing is people need to be empowered to understand what is the actual job of a patient, because it takes skills, it takes prioritization, it takes organization. So I'm going to teach you how to do the job, how to empower yourself, how to advocate. So we've built a class called Heal Smarter to teach people with cancer all of these things and much more. And it's had such an amazing reaction.
Wow. Oscar, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a simple concept. We assess, right? We gather data, and the assessment could be high tech, like serum HER2/neu or salivary microbiome, spit in a tube to see do you have really deadly bacteria in there that could be driving an inflammatory process or cancers even. And then, gathered, it could be low tech, like is your pulse fast, or your eyes red, or is your tongue red? Do you have big fat sublingual veins underneath your tongue? or do you get hot at night? Are you sweating at night? So just gathering data, getting data, blood work, urine, stool, genetics, genomics, whatever. So there is an awareness now about data, and then you dial in one or more of the interventions, which Julie mentioned, botanical, nutraceutical, drugs, whatever. And then you assess the thing again. So if my pulse was too fast before, and then I took some cocaine, did that work? No, it didn't work very well. Maybe try something different like meditation or yoga or long, slow, deep breathing or, ashwagandha or whatever the hell, the praying, whatever it is, we hold ourselves accountable. Like, is it working, for that marker? If you could only bench press 50 pounds and then you did something and then you bench press again and you can bench press 55 and that's what you're trying to do, then the answer is yes, it's working. If your CRP inflammation is at 8, and then you found the magical beanstalk and ate from it, and then you measured again the CRP, C-reactive protein in your blood, and your CRP inflammatory marker is still 8, then your magical beanstalk didn't work. So, maybe try some exercise or diet modifications or herbs or, whatever. We're just trying to keep everyone honest here and see, is the thing working? And you can do that with data. Some of it is low tech, some of it is high tech. Most of it is fairly inexpensive. I mean, like there's this MVX Plus test that we recently discovered that is like under $50. And it will tell you with a high degree of accuracy whether you, your brother, your mom, your dad is probably going to be alive within 5 years. Is statistically validated for that. So like,
how does it do that?
It's a blood test that measures a few things.
Gotcha.
It measures your metabolic, basically the root of every disease is your metabolic function. And so if we understand if your metabolic function is strong, we can predict it. I mean, and this test is not, it's all cause mortality. It's not whether it be cancer or heart disease or strokes, because they all have the same root causes around metabolic dysfunction. So when we go back and measure at that early stage, we can say, okay, you have issues, but you can change the future by acting now and choosing different choices. So we're trying to give people that aha before they get the stage 4 cancer diagnosis, that your body is in distress. Choose choices that are different.
And your doctor probably doesn't know about it, and you don't really need a doctor to get this run. I mean, this is kind of like power to the people, right? Like, hey, take your health into your own hands. Because, doctors, I'm glad they're there for when you get hit by a bus, but most of why people are, dying ain't because of getting hit by buses. It's cardiovascular disease, diabetes, cancer. They're not very good at that.
You're muted.
I see that. Apologies. That's amazing. Full disclosure, I've started seeing Oscar. My wife and I both have. He's helped her an absurd amount. She takes all the stuff that he recommends, and it's been helping her quite a bit. So we have like firsthand experience that this stuff that like Oscar and what y'all are doing actually works. Dog got a little excited with that one. Kat, did you have another question?
Yeah. So, are y'all both in the Libertarian Party, or how did you guys get connected with the Great Create?
Jake recruited me in to do a podcast, and I don't know how long ago. I have no concept of time. And since then, I've been a little bit more invested as to see what's going on. And I love the kind of do-it-yourself attitude of, not blaming others or holding others responsible for your own fate, including your health, which to me is what everyone should be looking at, irrespective of political ideologies.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Yeah. I think Elizabeth Melton was the one who gave me your number originally.
That's right.
She's one of the founders of the Great Create. So, what about you, Julie?
You're muted.
I came.
No, you're good. You're good. You came back in.
Okay. So your question was, how did I know about the Great Creator? How? Tell me more.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that, and also whether or not you guys are part of the Libertarian Party, or any of those values that we have in our party.
I am an independent candidate, but I definitely align very much to the Libertarian Party. I believe that each of us needs to be responsible for our own outcomes and our choices. I don't want anyone telling me what I should or shouldn't do. I had to fail at chemotherapy because the man or the system told me that was the path I had to take. So I had to ingest toxic poison knowing it was wrong. That should have never been. We should have the choices we need to decide the data we want, the treatments we want, the way we want this to be. This is all about personal empowerment and freedom. And I think that's what beautifully aligns your party and our methodology, because this is all about helping us choose, not letting anyone dictate what our strategy should be.
Heck yeah. And that's exactly what's been happening for a very long time, especially in this country, is there's over-regulation of every single industry, subsidization of a bunch of industries. If you subsidize the wrong things, then you're going to have the wrong outcomes. And that's exactly what's been happening for a really long time.
Jake, that's looking at it from my perspective, we've been subsidizing the wrong foods. We've been subsidizing the wrong companies. We've been subsidizing the wrong education. When I understood that we could build a metabolic body that cancer could not thrive in, I was angry that that's not part of every high school education. What do we need to know more than that?
Bingo. Yeah, couldn't agree more. Kat, I think you had another question.
Yes. So Oscar, could you go into more of like the skepticism people have around like alternative or holistic medicine, and how like MOJO deals with those misconceptions?
Well, they may not be misconceptions. I mean, I think people should be skeptical of everything. That's why we hold ourselves accountable to, like, is my herb working? Measure before, take the magical beanstalk or the herb or the farm, and then measure again. And did it work? And again, the measurements could be high tech, blood work or urine or stool or saliva, or they could be low tech. My pulse rate that you can check yourself at home, anyone, for pretty much free, is 95 beats a minute. And then I took these herbs and now it's 80 beats a minute and I feel more calm. Hey, that must be working. If that's what you're trying to achieve, then sure. So I think everyone should be skeptical of everything, especially these days. So I'm not against skepticism. I'm against cynicism. If someone doesn't think that they can get better, ain't nothing I can do for them, or my herbs. Someone first needs to think that they can get better. How they get better, leave that to me. I'm good at that. We can dial in the Western conventional stuff and or the Chinese stuff or the Ayurvedic stuff, whatever. How is a different issue, but if is a more philosophical issue, and that's cynicism, which is different than just being skeptical. So I welcome a good skeptic, and I say, put us to the test. Put your money where your mouth is here, and let's see what you got. Let's see where you are. Do you even know where your inflammation or your magnesium or your zinc levels are? And most people don't, and most people are pretty into themselves, for better or worse. So they're curious about their inflammation and magnesium and testosterone levels, right? So the first step is just awareness. It's not me trying to sell them on ashwagandha or turmeric. Is me just selling them on, hey, are you interested in you? And usually they're like, I'm very interested in me. I'm probably more interested in me than anyone else out here. So great. Let's work with that.
Julie, you were about to say something.
I sure was. And I've certainly talked to a lot of skeptical people at the beginning of the conversation. And when I teach them how to measure their data, nobody's skeptical. I even spoke with a doctor yesterday who was just diagnosed with gynecological cancer. And she, at the end of the conversation, she's like, I knew nothing about what you just told me, and it all makes perfect sense. Why didn't I learn this? So no, I welcome the skepticism. People want to think I'm crazy until they understand how I'm measuring before and after, using the scientific method and deploying exactly how they heal across the globe. And once people understand this, the quotes are things like, I have hope for the first time. I see a path forward. You're the only person who's made sense of how we can be empowered. So these are big time quotes we get after every single one of our Heal Smarter classes, which we're hosting one on Saturday before the festival. So I'll be able to share 10. Before I come to your festival, I will change 10 lives from around the world by teaching them the choices they can make and the data they can ask for to heal unique to their environment, their cancer, and their body.
Wow, that's incredible. I have a very specific question. What are y'all's feelings on like wearables, like Apple Watch, Whoop strap, that kind of thing? Like, do those provide any good insights? Are they doing any damage to people? Like, what are your thoughts on those?
So one of the interesting parts, and Oscar, I thought he was a little tin hat when I met him because he would talk a lot about EMFs and the impact EMFs had on your overall health. And to be honest, there's a couple things he said to me that I kind of let go in one ear and out the other. And that was one of them in the early stages. But later on in our relationship, he actually had me do an experience where I measured my heart rate variability using an EMF blocking blanket that we actually created through MOJO, and then measuring it without the blanket. And I could see a direct impact of EMFs on my heart rate variability, clear as day. Multiple times I did this activity. And so I
did it blindfolded, didn't we?
Yes.
And we had a dummy placebo blanket of, equal heft. And I think, would we put like a couple cell phones on you that were on like Bluetooth and Wi-Fi on top of you, and one, blindfolded with a blanket versus a dummy blanket, and see what happened to your heart rate variability?
Yeah. So at that point, I understood that EMFs impact our biological functioning. So then your second question is a really interesting one, because I am a data gangster. So I wear wearables nonstop until someone had me hold out my hand. I had my Apple Watch on, and they said, keep your hand straight. And with my hand without the Apple Watch, I could hold straight. But with the Apple Watch, they could move my hand and I didn't have muscle strength. So for everyone watching your podcast that's watching this, have someone do that on you. And you pretty quickly realize there are things happening in your body that you have no idea about. So once someone did that to me a few times, and it took a few times, I stopped wearing AirPods. I now only wear wired things. I've really affected my life, because I understand EMFs create toxicity in our body, which means my immune system has to moderate the impact of EMFs instead of stand strong for cancer. It's not that our bodies can't do it. We are taught to evolve, and our bodies are natural and they're cool in how they allow our cellular function to shift to the toxicity and the environment it's presented with. So it's not like if you live a great world, a little bit of EMFs is going to kill you. It's if you're living in a toxic world with the cleaners and the beauty products and the food and the stress and the trauma, and now we're going to give our body EMFs. It's just too much for our immune systems to maintain.
Yeah.
I liked how Kat quietly put her hand over her ear.
Sorry, Kat.
No, people tell me all the time, but I don't know. I really like my AirPods. I spent like money on them. I can't just throw them away.
You can actually. In fact, you can.
You actually can.
I was such a tech gadget that I had 2 pairs of AirPod Pros and a Beat, so that I could never, I don't know how I did that. So I could never be without AirPods. That's how much of a junkie I was. So I get it, Kat. And the only time I break down now is on international flights, because I need something that I can go to sleep with. But other than that, I try and I went wired, and I feel like such a dork walking around my neighborhood with my wired earplugs.
Yep.
But,
I only have wired at this point. I used to have AirPods. I used to have an Apple Watch, and there you go. Yeah. And a Whoop strap, and all those are gone now. And I actually have noticed a difference, and I like it way more. And I try to leave my phone outside the bedroom whenever I'm, sleeping and stuff like that. And yeah,
I even have earpods that one of my patients hooked me up with that used to work at Apple, and they even are engraved. They say the illustrious El Jefe on them, and I don't wear them.
Look at your strength. Pass that on to Kat. I'm just kidding, Kat. Let's see.
So let's talk about the Great Create. So what exactly will you guys be doing at the festival?
We're going to figure that out sometime between now and the festival, I think.
He says that, but here's what we're going to talk about. We have identified that we have 8 natural health defense systems. And everyone out there needs to understand that how they can create a body that is less hospitable to disease. So we're going to start to teach people some of these decisions that they can make. So we think this is a message for everyone. We want to spend a minute talking about some of the cancer specific things, but we want to make sure that everyone at the Great Create can walk away with a little bit of information around the decisions they're making to create a body that is less or more hospitable to disease.
Nice.
Yeah, disease is not like bird shit. It doesn't just fall on you. So, no one should be surprised when they get diagnosed. I mean, 1 out of every 3 people are going to have cancer in their lifetime, right? That's a lot of people. And that's going to cost a lot of money. It's going to cost a lot more than your AirPods if, someone gets diagnosed with cancer. So, there are lab tests that, they cost a little bit of money up front, but that MDX Plus test is under $50 for God's sake, right? A CBC with a differential and a CMP is under $50. You do this once or thrice a year to keep an eye on things. And when things look a little squirrely, you can catch disease years before it gets nasty and ugly. Most cancers have been around for years by the time they're diagnosed, but people don't know it. They're just walking around with a small tumor that's slowly growing. And then, next thing you know, that it's a big problem. And then they're surprised. And their doctor's surprised. Because they didn't look. So, I mean, that's just dumb. It's just ignorance and willful ignorance. I mean, I'm okay with ignorance, but I'm not okay with willful ignorance when the data's out there and it doesn't cost that much.
Yeah. Yeah.
What kind of people too? Like I've had, several people in their 20s and 30s with stage 4 cancers this year already.
The fastest growing population right now is under 50 for colon cancer. It's in the above 50 category. We're kicking out. We're doing great work. It's the young adults, the 20s, the 30s, the 40s that are coming out with stage 4 cancer. Same with breast cancer. How many triple negative breast cancers do I have of someone in their late 30s? And it's because of the lifestyle and the decisions we're making that are part of the standard American way of life. And we've got to teach people why sleep matters, why it's better than Netflix, why you need to make some decisions around your community. Like there's just some real decisions we can make that make a big, huge difference in those outcomes.
Sleep is better than Netflix. That's great. I don't have Netflix or internet. I go to Julie's house every once in a while to watch Billy Strings.
That's exactly right.
Interesting. I definitely have Netflix along with every single other streaming service that you need to have today to watch actual shows. So, yeah. What? So while you're at the Great Create, like, what kind of people are you hoping to meet or interact with, or expecting to meet?
People that want to be alive in 5 years.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah.
It's what we're doing is for everyone, because as Oscar said, it will either be you or it will be a family or a friend or a neighbor who is diagnosed, and you're going to want to know what you can do to change their outcomes. And the reality is if people know right after they're diagnosed to get these tests, I didn't have side effects. I didn't suffer. I never missed a day of work outside of surgery. It doesn't have to suck. You just have to know how to make it not suck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Listen, my dad was just diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer last couple of weeks. I got a text, and it was a really shitty text, especially, working with so many cancer patients. And God, I've seen gobs of colon cancer patients this year. It's like more colon cancer patients than I've ever seen. It's just, numbers are astonishing. And I've asked my colleagues and they're seeing the same thing. But the truth of the matter is that, it was there for years. And my dad, I was the last one to run blood work on my father. And that was 10 years ago. Had he just showed up and paid under $50, once a year to see what's up with your neutrophil lymphocyte ratio, your CRP, maybe you throw in a CEA, because my grandfather, his father, had colon cancer and passed away of colon cancer. So there's already family history there, right? So you think that, okay, something, I'm not even asking for a colonoscopy. I'm saying a CBC with the differential, neutrophil lymphocyte ratio, an LDH, a CRP, Julie found hers because of slightly low hemoglobin. She didn't find colon cancer markers. She just said, why is the hemoglobin hematocrit red blood cells a little low? Well, that's a flag. And then she kept digging, right? These are not expensive tests. And so had my father and countless other people just done basic, people get their car, for God's sake, checked more than themselves, right? That's just ridiculous.
My friends don't do that. They never get their car checked. But yeah, I understand what you're saying. It is kind of ridiculous that you'll take care of a piece of equipment, but
Yeah, and if you do get your car checked, like you're not walking out of there with less than $150,
that's
spent.
very
And
true.
I'm talking about under $50 freaking dollars, for a living human being that maybe you care about.
Yeah. Yeah.
The gift that we want to give people is knowledge, the knowledge that they can find this data. They can make different decisions, which creates a whole different body and whole different health outcomes. Nobody ever told me that. Nobody ever told me that if I chose decisions around my nutrition and my diet, my lifestyle, I could build a body where you can not have heart disease. Yet our dear friend, Dr. Ellie Campbell in Cumming, has figured out exactly how to build a metabolic profile where you won't have a heart attack. These people, these scientists, these experts are out there. We just don't know about them because the media doesn't pick this up. So this is the type of movement. When I was diagnosed cancer-free, I said, listen, we know the types of data that can make or break a difference. Our goal in our nonprofit of MOJO Health Information, it's a 501c3 nonprofit, is to teach people how to do this. And then for us to collectively share our stories and build this data set in a platform so that patients around the globe can identify the optimal healing choreography based on their body, their cancer, and their environment. So this data has never been brought together in a single place before today. That's what MOJO Health exists to do, to build the data set, to prove how we build a body inhospitable to cancer, and to prove the optimal healing choreography based on the genomics of your body and the genetics of your body. Sorry, the genetics of your body and the genomics of your tumor.
Wow.
Big.
Heck yeah. I very much appreciate the work y'all are doing, just from a personal level. And yeah, I never once in my life looked forward to going to the doctor until I came to y'all. And then I was like, no, I would love to go in again. This is great.
It's always an experience at Oscar's office.
I mean,
Yes.
Full disclosure, I'm not a physician and my clinic is pretty badass. I mean, we just had a jam session here with like 25 people a couple days ago playing anything from violin to, there was an accordion that was never taken out of the box. The case rather, the squeeze box was never taken out of the squeeze case, for better or worse. But yeah, it's a fun place. And maybe your doctor is not as cool as, or has an office as cool as this place. But even if your doctor sucks, get the damn data. Who cares if your doctor is nice or not, or if their office is nice or not? In fact, like I said, you don't really even need the doctor at this point to just get the basic stuff. We recommend that you work with someone that has some understanding about, if something is flagged, all right, what do I do about it now? Get some more data, or just start on chemo, or chop my toe off, or cut my boobs off, or maybe just fix my diet. So before you start making treatment decisions, work with someone, but it's not that hard to find someone that has this knowledge. And we're teaching more and more, not just the patients, but we're teaching the clinicians as well, because they don't really know this stuff. And they should.
How many clinicians are in the organization?
When you say MOJO, you mean MOJO, the organization?
Mm-hmm.
I have a clinic here, and I'm the main clinician at my little practice in Atlanta. And I'm not trying to treat the world, even though I have patients all over the world. But like I said, there's only one of me. MOJO is to basically, make the ripple effect across the entire world. I mean, we have an oncologist on our board. We have another registered dietitian on our board. I'm teaching a class in January on reading functional lab work in Chattanooga, that we should probably tell people at the Great Creek, because it's open to everyone. But we've got a couple docs that are interested in sitting in for that, because they were trained on how to read a CBC and say, oh, look, everything's fine, see you next year. We're trained on how to read a blood work as to well, you're not dead, but these numbers aren't great, and they're not in the optimal range. They're in the American range, but look around, who do you see? Americans, do they look healthy to you? Because, they're not, and no one's claiming they are. But that's who you're comparing yourself to when you read it for the American standard rather than the healthy standard. So Yeah.
Yeah.
How many? I mean, we got Chad, we got Laura as a clinician. Who else do we have?
Dr. Port, who's a chiropractor. So across the organization, we have both traditional and conventional care members and philosophies definitely well represented. Our idea is what we're working on. A couple of the things we're working on now, which will be pretty interesting for your audience. The first is anyone can go to the mojohealth.org website, and we've created a bot where you can ask questions around the data you can collect around cancer. So we've trained it with Oscar and I's brain. So you can go say, I have ovarian cancer, and it will teach you the types of data that you can ask your doctor for. So that's built on our site. We've also built a tool called a strategy builder. So if anyone has a side effect, you can go put your side effect in, and it will teach you the diet, lifestyle, or healers you can use to outsmart your side effect. Those are all available right now. The two cool things we're working on in addition to that are, one, a continuing medical education class for doctors to teach them how to interpret this data to predict outcomes, so to create chief health officers. And we're also building a bot so they can upload data or blood markers, and it will help them understand what they can teach someone that they didn't learn in medical school around diet, lifestyle, vitamins and supplements, and in their environment. So we're going to actually empower physicians to shift their mindset from diagnosis to predicting and optimizing health, which is really cool, the work we're doing. The third big project we're working on is actually teaching people how to optimize their nutrition. So you can go in and share, I've got this disease, or I have this family history, and it'll teach you the foods you should eat based on what's seasonal and price competitive in your zip code. So we're building a lot of really cool tools, both for physicians, for people who want to avoid disease, and for people who have disease, so that we can impact all aspects of healing approach.
Wow.
We stay pretty busy.
Yeah. No kidding.
And a lot of that's free.
You still me off at 8:30, so yeah. Go ahead, Julie.
This is both of our night, weekend, and holiday jobs. We both have full-time careers we do all day. This is just what we do to change the world. We put on our superhero capes on Tuesday night, and here we are.
Well, I love it.
Clearly, we don't have kids or spouses or boyfriends or girlfriends, but hey,
we're changing the world.
We're changing the world.
Yeah. Yes, you are. I'm a huge fan. And you kind of mentioned it before in everything you were just saying, Julie, but for anyone who's listening or new to MOJO Health, can you tell them like where to find you and how to connect and everything?
Sure. So I've written a book called MOJO Healing, which is available on Amazon or our supplement shop, morejoyhealth.com. We have the nonprofit mojohealth.org, where you will find a ton of resources. And then, of course, beyond that, we would suggest our podcast, Mojo Rising, How to Make Cancer Suck Less, available on Spotify, Apple, and YouTube.
Such a good title. Well, we're going to wrap up here in just a second. Have y'all seen the schedule for the Great Create and who all's going to be there yet?
No, not the final one, no.
All right. Well,
excited, though.
It's going to be a very fun event. There's a lot of great folks that are going to be presenting some pretty great information and just a lot of good people mingling and hanging out all day. So
what time are we on? Forget.
Let's see. I have it in my calendar. Let me look real quick. You're on at 6 p.m.
Okay.
Perfect.
Yeah. 6 p.m. to 6:45. Y'all will be the presenters at that point. Yeah, Great Create begins at, I think doors open at 11 a.m. on Saturday, November 8th in Ackworth. And now I forget the dadgum park. You remember what the park is? You're muted, Kat.
The guy who created peanut butter.
What?
Washington Carver.
George Washington Carver. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Yeah. George Washington Carver Park up in Ackworth. So if anybody's around, if you have an interest in anything that has to do with self-reliance or anything of what these two have been talking about, please come to the event. I've been to it the last 3 years, and it's been absolutely phenomenal. You get to meet a ton of great folks, and highly encourage everyone to go. You'll get to learn new skills, learn new information, just learn a whole bunch of stuff and have a blast while doing it.
Ideally, if and when you go, turn your phone off of Bluetooth and Wi-Fi so that you're not zapping everyone, because if you get 100 people in a room and their Bluetooth and Wi-Fi is all on, that's exponentially magnified EMF.
Wow.
I have a question. So, I work at a crystal store. I think I mentioned that earlier. And one thing that people say is wearing shungite on you reflects, or I don't know what the word is, detracts the EMF. Have you like looked into that at all?
Yeah, it doesn't block anything. And no one is really claiming, I mean, other people that are just dumb. It doesn't block anything. It does make it a little less disturbing for your own frequencies somehow. I don't know if anyone really understands how, but it definitely does mitigate the damage. But the best is to just not have it on in the first place. Your phone still works if it's off Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. And, you wouldn't need as much expensive crystals or shungite if you just, had it off of Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, or had it off of your body 30 inches this far. Look, your phone still works.
Let me make people sleep easier, because after this they're gonna be up all night worried. So let's just give a couple of other things about EMFs that are really valuable.
Okay.
The most important time to protect your body is at night. That's when your super troopers come out in your immune system. So it's really important, even if you have EMFs around you during the day, which is not great, that at night you create a bedroom sanctuary that's really clean. So at least if you have your phone in your room, you turn off your Wi-Fi, you turn off your Bluetooth, and you put it in an EMF blocking pouch. That's what I do every night, because I do live alone. I want to have safety. The idea here is it is really important for you to think about turning off your Wi-Fi at night, building a zone where you can feel safe and sleep and make sure your body can fully repair. During the day, we're going to have things in the world. We're going to have EMF exposure that's real. We can handle some toxicity. The goal is to reduce it as much as possible. Agree with that, Oscar?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There we go. Well, y'all, I really appreciate y'all coming on the show this late and this last minute. And I really appreciate y'all coming to the Great Create. Any final words before we head out?
No, please come introduce yourself to us and let us know if you heard this, and we'll give you a Mojo sticker.
Yeah.
There we go.
And we're inviting everyone out there, be a data gangster. And if you want to know the blood test you can order, go to mojohealth.org/datagguide, and you can download the list of blood tests that can help you predict disease 2 to 10 years before it happens. So we're democratizing this data and putting out there for everyone to know the test and the data that you want to start collecting.
That's amazing. Kat, you got any final words before we head out?
I just realized that the George Washington Carver did not invent peanut butter. It was everything but peanut butter. So I'd like to correct the record.
Perfect.
It was all the other peanut things.
I think it's a great way to end this episode. So we'll see you next time on the Free Georgia podcast.
All right.